Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Miliana Shamira binti Muhammad Hafiz Akmal and I am the leader of Group 5.
My name is Avril Lugana.
My name is Asbilan Hisham Abdullah.
And my name is Ayman Ali bin Ahmad Zaidi.
Hello everyone. My name is Avril Lugana. Today I want to talk about why multiculturalism in education is very important. Classroom now have students from many different backgrounds. When teachers understand how different countries run their school, especially how they grade students and communication in class, they can help all students learn better. Indonesia and South Korea are two countries with different cultures and education systems. By looking at their primary school English classes, especially their grading system and the language they use to teach, we can see how culture affects educations. In Indonesia, primary school students usually get letter grades or numbers. This makes it easy to understand how well they are doing. During English lesson, teachers mostly use Bahasa Indonesia. This helps students learn new English words and grammar, but also have their first language to support them. Meanwhile, in South Korea, the grading system is often more detailed. They use percent and sometimes teacher comments. This encourages students to keep improving. In Korean English classes, teachers try to use English as much as possible. This helps students get used to hearing and speaking English. By comparing these two countries, we understand how grading and communication affect how young students learn English, especially when their cultural and language are different.
So, for the similarity about grading system between Indonesia and South Korea. So, both of these countries use a 0 to 100 grading scale, with 100 being the ideal score. They also prioritize core subject like mathematics, science, and language, requiring students to focus on the subjects early on to build a foundation for a future education. Both of these countries use a project based, which task and presentation for assessment and fostering a critical thinking and collaboration. In recent years, both of these countries have introduced reforms to enhance their grading system, such as incorporating technology into classrooms and more interactive assessment.
Between the primary school grading system in Indonesia and South Korea. These two countries take very different approaches to evaluating students' performance, and each system reflects their unique educational values. Let's start with Indonesia. In Indonesia, primary school students are graded using numeric scale from 0 to hundreds. A score of 75 or above is considered good, while scores between 55 and 74 may still pass, but then the students might need extra help or remedial works. Anything below 55 is failing. Student must pass key core subjects like math, Indonesian language, science, social studies, religious education, and civics. If a student fails a core subject or several non-course one, they may have to repeat the grades. The focus is mainly on academic performance and standardized testing, with the goal of making sure all students meet the national competency standards. Now, let's look at South Korea. Since 1998, South Korea primary school have stopped using numbers or letter grades. Instead, they use descriptive feedback to assess students. These include narrative comments on learning progress, participation, creativity, and emotional development. This system is designed to reduce pressure in the early years and focus on holistic development. However, even though grading in school is relaxed, many students still attend Hagwons, which is private tutoring center for extra academic help. The South Koreans' approach emphasizes personal growth, not just test scores, and encourage students to develop their own space. To summarize, the difference of Indonesia focus on numeric grades and passing core subject through tests, while South Korea used narrative feedback with a focus on emotional and creative development. Indonesia's systems aim for standardization, while South Korea's promotes individual learning and reduces stress.
The positive of grading system in Indonesia, which primary school grading system is a shift away from traditional reliance on numerical grades, which focusing on motivation, personal growth, and student development. This system aligned with the Indonesian Ministry of Education and Culture curriculum, which emphasizes the character, critical thinking, and creativity. This formative testing conducted during the school term and provide immediate feedback and help monitor student learning. The system also provide the community and parents organizing workshop to teach them about the system and create a holistic learning experience. The positive grading system has the potential to transform the education sector and produce independent and motivated learners who can positively contribute to society.
There are some negative aspects of grading system in Indonesia. First one is grade inflation. Teachers often feel pressure to give higher grades to avoid problems with school authorities or to meet the parents' expectations. This actually leads to inaccurate grades that don't reflect on a student's true abilities. Second, we have focus on memorization. Emphasis is a place of on memorizing facts rather than truly understanding them. Even creative subjects like art and PE are graded numerically. So for the result, students lose interest and are discouraged from thinking critically or creatively. For the third one, we have inequality across regions. Some grading standards apply to all schools, even though resources differ greatly between urban and rural areas. Students in remote areas are often lacks trained teachers and proper facilities. For the fourth is academic stress. Children who are pressured to get high grades from both schools and families. This leads to anxiety, low self-esteem, and burnout among primary school students. For the fifth one is the teaching to the test. Teachers focus mainly on exam topics to help students pass rather than broader learning. They have less time for project, creativity, or building real-world skills.
Now, I'm going to talk about the positive sides of South Korea grading system, especially the Achievement Standard Best Testing System or ASTS. First, this system reduced student stress. Before, students had to compete with each other, but now they just need to focus on reaching a certain level but not beating others. Second, teaching methods have improved. Teachers now guide students towards learning goals so students can understand lesson better. Third, it gives clear feedback on student progress. Teachers and students can see what has been learned and what still needs work. Next is ASTS helps students learn better. Since learning is more personal, it fits different learning styles and it can improve academic performance. Lastly, this system encourages teamwork, not competition, and students help each other more, which creates a positive and friendly learning environment.
In South Korean primary schools, students feel a lot of pressure to get high grades, which can cause stress and anxiety. The grading system focuses too much on memorizing facts for tests instead of helping students understand and think creatively. It creates unhealthy competition where students try to beat each other instead of learning together and helping one another. Because of this system, learning becomes less fun and students may lose interest in exploring what they really enjoy.
Now, I'm going to talk about the similarities between South Korea and Indonesia in terms of English as a medium of communication in education. In both countries, English is a foreign language, so students often understand the basics but struggle in real conversations, especially in non-English subjects. Also, some schools in both countries use English medium instruction or EMI. Subjects like science or math are taught in English to help students compete globally, but this can be hard for non-native speakers. Students in both countries also struggles with grammar, vocabulary, and confidence. Many are shy or afraid to make mistakes when they speaking English. In both South Korea and Indonesia, students sometimes rely on their mother tongue. Teachers use Korean or Indonesian to explain difficult concepts, which helps students understand better.
In Indonesia, some schools use English to teach different subjects, but many teachers and students do not have strong English skills. Also, many schools lack important tools like computers and internet, which makes it harder for students to learn English well. Meanwhile, in South Korea, English classes are taught only in English, which is difficult for students who are just beginning to learn the language. Students also feel a lot of pressure to do well and are often afraid to speak English, so they do not get enough practice. So both Indonesia and South Korea use English in their primary schools, but they face different challenges. To help students learn better, both countries need to provide better training for teachers and more support for students in their English learning.
The positive of medium communication in Indonesia as the primary language of transitioning in primary schools promotes national unity by bridging linguistic gaps between different ethnic groups. It enhances academic performance by allowing students to grasp concepts more effectively and develop a better cognitive skills. Transitioning to Indonesian from a local language supports broader inclusivity, ensuring equal opportunity for all students regardless of their backgrounds. It supports the professional development of teachers by providing easy access to teaching materials, professional training, and resources. Teachers also can communicate efficiently with students, parents, and community by fostering a collaborative education environment. The Indonesian government has implemented programs to improve language proficiency among teachers and students aimed to provide a more equitable learning environment. The use of Indonesian as the primary medium of communication in primary school is a crucial for Indonesia's growth and development.
For the first one is over-dependence on verbal and traditional method. Teaching is often the teacher-centered, relying mostly on lectures. There is minimal use of visual, digital or interactive media, which leads to passive learnings where students don't get to ask questions or engage. Second is the language barriers. Many students speak local language at homes, but are taught in Bahasa Indonesia's at school. This causes comprehensions issues and slow literacy development. Parents who aren't fluent in Bahasa Indonesia may struggle to communicate with teachers. 3 is the digital divides. Urban schools may use ICT tools such as computers, internet, projectors. Rural schools often lack digital resources, and without access to multimedia tools, teaching remains outdated and less engaging. 4th one is weak school parents' communication. Most schools still rely on printed reports or rare meetings. Lack of real-time communication are for examples, WhatsApp and Telegram. Parents remain uninformed about student progress and can't give proper support. For the fifth one is cultural and hierarchical communication styles. Schools promote respect for authorities, but this may silence students. Children are afraid to ask questions or share opinions. They limit the growth of critical thinking and collaboration skills.
Now let's talk about the positive of using English in South Korea classroom, especially through language play. Language play includes rhyme, chants, and games. This makes learning English more fun and less stressful. It also helps students participate more in class, and they feel relaxed and more confident when learning feels like a game. Most importantly, it helps reduce fear of speaking English. When students feel safe and accepted, they are more likely to speak up and improve their English skills.
In South Korean primary schools, students often learn English by memorizing grammar, not by actually speaking the language. Many teachers are not well trained to teach speaking and listening, so students don't get enough practice. Students are often scared to speak English because they worry about making mistakes and being judged. There is strong pressure from society to be good at English, which can make students feel stressed and less interested in learning. This final project helped me see how schools in Indonesia and South Korea are both similar and different. Indonesia's grading system is simple and easy to understand, while South Korea is more detailed but can be stressful for students. It made me think that grading should be fair but not too hard for kids. On the other hand, for the medium communication, Indonesia uses mostly face-to-face talks, which feels personal. Meanwhile, South Korea uses technology like apps, which is faster but less personal. I learned that both ways have good and bad sides, and it's important to find a balance between using technology and keeping close relationships in school. That's all from me. Bye!
Communication in school plays a big role in how well students learn and grow. Many children in Indonesia, especially in rural areas, are held back by outdated teaching methods, language differences, and limited access to technology. To help every student succeed, schools need to use better and more inclusive ways to communicate. This means not just using new tools, but making sure students and parents truly understand and connect with what is being taught. I hope Indonesia continues to improve its education system so that no child is left behind because of poor communication.
For the conclusion, Indonesia and South Korea education grading system and communication media reflect not only their emphasis on education, but also mirror their values. Indonesia supports a healthier balance and between education and life, while South Korea concentrates on competition and study success. By understanding this varying system will aid in smooth cross-cultural education exchange and foster cooperation in the globalized world.
In conclusion, Indonesia and South Korea have different ways of grading and using English in schools. Indonesia uses competency-based assessment and sometimes the local language to help students understand. Meanwhile, South Korea uses a more standardized system and often give more focus to learn English immersion in class. In my opinion, we need a balance between clarity and challenge. Using the mother tongue can help young learners understand difficult topics, but slowly increasing English use can help build confidence and fluency. Each system has its own strengths, and it's important to adapt based on student needs. As future educators, we should learn from different countries and choose the best methods for our own students. That's all from me. Thank you.